Yeah, great victory, great game against a really good opponent. There's not much more than you can say about that group other than they play very hard. Coach Dameron does an incredible job with those guys. It's a good football team, and it was a good win for us. I liked our effort. I liked our resiliency, especially down the stretch in the third and fourth quarters right there when they started making a run and trying to bring the game back. I thought our guys did a good job of keeping their head and again finding a way to win, finding a way to pull it out at the end, finding a way to make some plays, make some stops, make some runs, make some first downs. Whatever had to be made, we found a way to do that, and just awfully proud of our guys, and so we'll put that one behind us today as quick as we can, because we've got a big challenge coming up this week in Tennessee State, a team that is playing awfully good football. They play very hard. Obviously, they're very athletically talented. And again, they've got a good coach at the helm doing a good job with those guys. Coach Reed does a phenomenal job with those guys as well. Good thing for us, we got them at home. We always like being at home. We like playing in front of our fans. Encourage all of our fans to come out and do what they did 2 weeks ago again, and give us another electric atmosphere with 11,000, 12,000. Hell, let's go crazy and give it 14,000. I don't care. Y'all show up and come out, because it'll be a really spectacular game against a really, really good opponent.
The offensive line, is that the best game against a D1 opponent since you've been here?
Yeah, they did a tremendous job. Obviously we do some things. We do big play Thursday, and I'll buy certain players a steak, for sacks and touchdown, and just big plays during the game, and I'm gonna buy all 5 of those guys steaks just because. Did we always do everything perfectly? No. Did we always mic things perfectly? No. But I can tell you this, man, those guys, there's a couple of times when I saw them coming off the field where I didn't think that they would even be able to stand back up. They were like that boxer in the 12th round where you just don't know how he's going to continue to get out of the corner. And they kept doing it, and they kept moving people forward. And, anytime you rush for over 400 yards, those front 5, you can say what you want about DJP and Rodney and Sloan. And, man, those guys had tremendous games, but they'll be the first to tell you that those 5 are what made that work. And awfully proud of those guys to finally have that game and finally show what type of offensive line unit they can be. And they were extremely proud of that. So again, the same thing. Today we've got to find a way to give them that confidence and keep that confidence in them. Knock them back down a little bit and make them understand, hey, now everything wasn't perfect, and get back after it this week. And I think that group will do that.
Your team has improved significantly since the beginning of the season, since last year. How good do you think you all can be?
I don't know. We're just, we're just focused on the work. And I know that sounds cliche, and every coach would say that, but that's what you have to do. You have to just be focused on the work. If you focus on anything else, any external factors, anything that can go right, go wrong, anything, if you get focused on that, then you lose your vision. And right now we're just focused on the work. Today we're focused on getting the things corrected that we need to correct in meetings, and then going out to practice and having the best Monday practice, even though it's all the same thing, it's just base stuff, having the best Monday practice that we can have. And then we'll do that again Tuesday and kind of keep it day by day and just focus on the work and the preparation and the things that we have to do to keep believing and keep getting better.
Against UT Martin, you said Drew Anderson's 21-yard touchdown was him basically playing ball.
Yeah.
That wasn't exactly the play. He has 6 carries and 80 yards, 79 yards against Eastern Illinois. Is this something you guys are starting to discover, that he is very comfortable in kind of an option zone read where he can get out and run in space?
No, not necessarily that. I don't think he's comfortable in that particularly. He's just what I've found is I've become more comfortable with him knowing that the play doesn't have to be exactly right, and he can play ball and get us into a better situation, or at least get us out of a really bad situation. And that's the biggest part of it, is when you have a comfort level with that guy to where you don't think he's going to get you in a bad situation. You know, at the end of the day, let's just get back to square one. Let's just get back to neutral, if nothing else. And I think that's what he's showing. That's my idea of playing ball, is doing some things that, like I said, may not be on the script. We ran every Sunday. We come in and we look at how many plays. I look at the call sheet and I want to go over, did I call everything? And our offensive GA, that's the first thing he does, is he goes through and he check marks everything that we called. And you know, in Sunday there was a couple of little goal line things that we didn't call. So there was about three calls that I didn't call that we had at our disposal that I didn't call, and there was about 7 calls that I did just creating, right? Just during the course of the game, creating some things. One of which was the zone read for a touchdown that he ran in. That was not something that we practiced. It's a base play, but it just, that particular motion, that set into the boundary, whatever it was, that wasn't something that we had planned, and wasn't really something that I planned on him pulling and running for a touchdown, but he did. And those are the things that he's getting more comfortable with. Is it doesn't always have to be perfect. Just play ball and make it right, or make it as good as we can make it, and get us to 2nd down, get us to 3rd down, you know, get us to 4th down. Just get us back with the ball in our hand.
Tennessee State, your leading receiver this season has 11 catches. Chris Rowland had 11 catches last week. Preparing for a team, would you rather prepare for the team that's got that one go-to guy, or like you, they don't know who the heck's going to get the ball? Which is the toughest?
You know, I don't know. I think regardless of what you do, you just have to be confident in what you're going to prepare for. So as you go into it, if you're going to go in and say, hey, listen, we have to take this guy away, you've got to be confident in that game plan, and you've got to do your best to take that guy away and make other people beat you. And if they do, then you tip your cap and say, hey, man, y'all did a better job game planning than we did. If you're going to go the other way and you're going to say, hey, all of them will touch it. You know, we've got to cover 53 and a third. My personal opinion, and it's the reason why we do what we do offensively, I do think that that's harder. I think it's harder to have a lot of guys who could touch it and not really have a main squeeze, not really have that main guy that you go to. I think that is tougher. But from a defensive standpoint, whatever you're going to do, just sell out to it. Sell out to it. Get your kids completely 100% convicted to doing that, and go do it on a day-to-day basis. All week, go do it, so that when they go into Saturday, there's no caution. There's no, well, man, am I really supposed to double this guy? Am I supposed to have the slot? Whatever the case may be. And I think, you know, that's what Coach Johnson does a great job of on his side of the ball. It's what I trust him to do every week. It's what I'm trusting him to do this week, because that kid is explosive now. I mean, he's explosive. He doesn't look like much on the hoof. He's a short little fella, very stocky, very rocked up. But he's one of the best ball players I've seen. He's electric in the return game, and he's electric with the ball in his hand. Has been that way since high school. I remember him in high school, and they've got quite a player in him. So we've got to be ready and prepared for him.
Coming out of the non-conference, you were publicly positive, especially coming out of that Kentucky game. Looking back now, did you have to do some mental rebuilding with the guys, or were they still confident in where you were?
Yes, that's a good question. After week 1, yeah, a little bit. After week 1, but I think the mental rebuilding was just simply because we just played so bad. We weren't proud of the work that we did, you know. Which was pretty easy. That was a pretty easy task for me. That was an easy one. Getting them back from a game like that. The other games, not really, you know, because our team, they had the same feeling that they had the same belief. They had the same belief. They knew that they still know that we haven't played our best ball yet. You know, we haven't even scratched the surface to our best. You know, our best football, putting three phases together. We haven't scratched that surface, and they know that. They knew it back then. So it was pretty easy for the most part, you know, and it's been pretty easy with these guys, with this team. It's been pretty easy to get them ready to play, and to get them fired up to play, and to get them in the right mindset to play. They do that on their own, and I'm tremendously grateful for that. It makes my job a lot easier, you know, makes the pregame speeches a lot easier. I don't have to get quite as flustered about them. They kind of do it for me. You know, I guess the long version of the answer is, you know, after week 1, sure. But it's just because we talk so much about, you know, it's kind of like being a news guy, a newspaper boy, an old school newspaper boy. You start out with your basket and it's full of newspapers and you got 100 of them. And at the end of the day, when you throw out that last one, you know, you check your time and you see how fast you did it that morning. And that's, you know that you did a good job. It's the fastest that I ever got all of these newspapers out of my basket. And each day of practice and each game, making sure that when we get done in that fourth quarter, no matter what happened, we can go in that locker room and we can look back and go, man, our basket's empty and we did it as hard as we could. And if we continue to do that and we continue to focus on the work, then I think good things will continue to happen for us.
In your non-conference games, Anderson was down in the vicinity of 50% completion. In the conference games, he's up around 62%. What do you attribute that?
You know, just I contribute it to the front 5 doing their job. I contribute it to the wide receivers doing their job, making catches. And I haven't talked a lot about those guys, the wideouts. You know, they had some rough weeks. You know, they had some very tough meetings and had some things put out publicly amongst the team. You know, from coaches and when you go into a game and you have 6 turnovers, that hurts. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing to put that on film. It's embarrassing for them, and I think they've done a good job wearing that embarrassment as a chip on their shoulder and working to improve that and catching the football and being dynamic. We use that word a bunch, being dynamic in space and trying to make dynamic moves and winning our one-on-ones, and I think they've done that. And then any time that you can run the ball, you know, I go back to last year. You know, we talked about this a bunch last year. When you can't run the ball, it's very hard to throw the ball, and when you can run the ball, it makes it a little bit easier. I'm not saying it's easy, but it makes it a little bit easier to throw the ball. And right now, we're running the ball effectively, which creates some opportunities for us out wide to complete the ball.
What's the biggest challenge that Tennessee State offers?
Their athleticism. They're extremely athletic. They're you know, I've said it ever since I got here in 2010. When they take the field, they look like the New York Jets, man. I mean, they are a good-looking bunch of players. I mean, when you watch them play Vanderbilt now, Vanderbilt's a good-looking football team. You know, my best friend Mike Polly down at Middle Tennessee, they played them, and Polly said, man, they've got the best-looking offensive linemen you've ever seen. Man, they're big, and when you turn on the tape and you watch Tennessee State against Vanderbilt, if there was no logo on the helmet, you wouldn't know that they were an FCS team. You wouldn't know that they weren't supposed to be an SEC team. I mean, they're big. They're big and they're athletic, and they're skilled. And they've got a good football team. They've got a tremendous football team, and it's quite an opportunity for us. It's quite an opportunity for us.
The one ugly stat you had from the game, the 11 penalties, 93 yards,
Yeah.
is that going to be addressed a lot?
No, just to be perfectly honest with you, because all of them were what I call hustle fouls. You know, an offensive lineman trying to make a block so that he can spring a running back, and he's fighting his brains out to make that block, and he gets a hold. I'll take it every day. Take it every day of the week, man. If you're giving me that type of effort, I'll take it every day of the week. You know, a hit, a big hit, or something like that. You know, it's football. I get it. Those are hustle penalties. Now, dumb ones, you know, non-hustle penalties, we'll address those. We haven't had very many of those. You know, offensively, we've had a couple of procedural penalties, but again, we're going to address them, but we're not going to handcuff our guys for them. I want them playing. My message has not changed. I want them playing without caution. I want them playing reckless abandon. I want them playing to the echo of the whistle. And we're going to continue to do that, and we're going to make that our edge. I mean, I can't talk out of both sides of my mouth in trying to do that. So, you know, I'm going to be very careful on the ones that we do address, and make sure that those are truly non-hustle penalties, and the rest of them is the cost of doing business.